thank you, Denise, just for attending this conversation with the SOAR Project. So firstly, if you could just kind of state the institution that you're from and your current role in the place of worship.
Sure. It's American Church in Berlin, and I am the current president of American Church in Berlin.
Thank you. That's great. And then you recently attended the SOAR Project training in Berlin last month. So just some feedback from your personal point of view and how you felt the training went.
Well, from the organizational point, that it was very well organized, and we got a lot out of the content that was presented. So it was helpful to us. I think it's important to raise the awareness around things that may not even just come to mind in terms of what we can do to make our places of worship safer. So I thought the training was really good. It was good content, very good discussion. I enjoyed having perspectives from other religious organizations and other places and people who also support those organizations. So I thought it was really good.
Yeah, that's great to hear. That's great to hear. And obviously, a key part of the training, as you would have seen, is around again sharing kind of best practice examples and how institutions can ensure that the places of worship are more secure and how they can respond to incidents, but also prepare against potential incidents taking place. Have there been? Has the American Church in Berlin ever received any form of kind of attacks or incidents? I know you mentioned there was some kind of things in the past, just after 9/11, I think you mentioned, but has the church any suffered from any incidents or anything of the kind in that side of things?
So just what I mentioned about 9/11 is that there were concerns because we had just decided to move into this area, and we did not actually. What we got from the community was more was support, and but the types of incidents we've had have been, there's things like vandalism outside of the building, that type of thing. So, but we haven't had any other type of like attack.
Attack, yeah, just
Fortunately,
vandalism, some like low level crime and things like that, which
that kind
obviously which you want to, yeah, again, which is unfortunate, and again something that hopefully we can prevent in the future. But again, the interfaith aspect I think is very crucial there, because SOAR's an interfaith project, and it's in the training you have, as you mentioned, it's good to see and hear from other communities, the Muslim community, Hindu, Buddhist community, to share this kind of common the common aspect that all places of worship should be working towards and have the same kind of concerns. And if there's an attack on one institution or one faith, I think all faiths should be able to support. And I know that you mentioned again after the incident of 9/11 that the community came together to provide that support for the church, which is I think an amazing story in itself. So just to touch on the aspect of kind of current best practice that the American church has, what kind of levels of security or aspects of security does the church have? I know that you mentioned that there, specifically in regards to events that you run, there's a system in place there. If you could just share or provide some insight into that, that would be helpful.
Sure, and that is, we have a team of ushers, and they are given information about what to look for and how to pay attention, particularly when there are events, but also this includes also our worship services on Sundays, and particularly at the holidays when we have a very, very high volume of visitors, to be particularly mindful of which is interesting because of course you also have lots of new faces during those times. So it's sort of what to pay attention to when people are coming into the building, being very friendly, and at the same time being observant if there's someone who just exhibits any kind of behavior that might be odd, or is carrying an unusual mount or piece of luggage into the building. To make sure that we speak to everyone who is coming in, first of all, because we want to be a welcoming community, and also because it's just really helpful to sort of make contact with people. And so that's, I would say that's probably the main thing that we do, is through our ushering team, giving them information on what to look for and what to do if if there's a situation and they're not sure, then always to address it to someone in the leadership, so that we can assess, do we need to take some other sort of action. For larger events, we do have contact with the local police and the what is the criminal office, I suppose we would call it, that is in charge of security for events, for public events. So we do contact them. We let them know that we're having these events. If it is something where we have guests who might attract more attention, for example, from embassies, that type of thing, then we will also have they will also come and visit the building before the event, and are usually present during the events. So we try to maintain really good relationships with them, and also with our local network. You mentioned the support from other religions. We also are part of the interfaith dialogues, so that we come together, and it's a more of a, it's a very ecumenical type of community, and I think that is helpful to we have connections and contact with the mosque in our area. We also have connections and contacts with the different churches in our area. And there are no synagogues in our immediate area, but it's an open network where we try to stay in touch. And we also participate in each other's events, which I think creates a sense of community with the different groups of faith, with the different congregations and people of different faith. And I think that also is a way of bringing more safety, because it's, we're all different faiths, but we're one community. So I think that's really important.
Yeah, no, I mean that sounds amazing. I think the ushering team and having that kind of physical presence, visual presence, I think is critical. As mentioned, again, a lot of the work that we've done in terms of providing best practice for religious events, one of the key aspects is having someone visual at the door around the building can always kind of put off potential people that want to commit a crime or want to attack the institution. Having someone visible and people around the building, I think, is an amazing aspect that the American church in Bowling has had. So in that aspect of things, I think that's brilliant. And I think the communication aspect is very interesting, because one of the key aspects of the work of SOAR is around highlighting institutions we've got communication best practice as well. So having this open communication that the American church has with the police and with other faiths as well, I think is definitely something that it is definitely an innovative aspect of places of worship to prevent potential attacks and incidents. So the communication that you have, is this happened, does it with the police and with the other institutions, is this done through kind of face-to-face meetings? Is it done through again, just your normal telephone, email, especially leading up to events? How regularly does that communication take place?
For the most part, with the other faith communities, it is by attending. There are regularly scheduled meetings, and they're probably every 2 months or so, and so we attend those and just sort of share what we're doing. We listen to other to what challenges other communities are facing, so that we are kind of able to know what's going on in the area, and also to look at what are other groups doing, and how can we benefit from that? What are we doing that might be helpful to share with others? So that's a lot of that is face to face. And it's not just one platform. And the other thing is also by attending events and of the other groups with the police and the official institutions. That is usually by we either, if it depends on the event, if we're having an event that is going to be outdoors, of course, we always have to submit the permits, and we provide additional information. If we usually the police will then say, come in and have a look, or if we think that it might be, for whatever reason, might be beneficial to have them come and look at or take a look around the church, then we'll also ask for that. And they've been very supportive and helpful in that way. So that is partially over email to let them know about the event, or to request support or presence. For example, we've got an event coming up this weekend, and I got a call from them just asking some questions about it and who would be the contact person, and just making sure that, for example, that you always have a contact person who is aware if we need help or need some support, then these people are going to be available to us if something happens during an event, to be in contact with them, or so that they can also be in contact with us. It's always helpful to have one or two people one is a primary contact and the other is a secondary contact, in case someone can't be reached, or during an event, if, for example, the one coming up on the weekend, I'm actually going to be involved in that. So I should not be the contact person unless other people are the other primary contacts are not available.
Yeah, I mean, look, that is an amazing kind of plan in place that you have. Obviously, having worked with institutions on this project, I think that is some of the most robust systems I think we've seen in terms of preparation for events, which I think is an amazing amount of planning and work that the American church is doing to ensure the congregations are safe. The communication aspect with the police, I think, is brilliant that you've got, and with the other faiths. In regards to, just one more question on communication, if I may, in regards to what is the kind of primary communication method or level of communication with the congregations in regards to, like you've mentioned, there's upcoming events? Is there any communication in regards to kind of safety, security procedures? If so, kind of how is that done? Is that done at like Sunday service, or is that done online? If there's any information on that.
Okay, no, directly with the congregation at large, we don't have that in place currently. So other than, for example, at the events, we instruct the congregation that the ushers will guide them. If, for example, if movement needs to take place, if there's a so if people need to move from one place to the other, the ushers will guide you, that type of thing, and the ushers are instructed what to do in case of. But we don't have something in place for the entire congregation to say, okay, in the event of this, do this or that. It's basically, in the event, if anything happens, the ushers know to take action, and that's definitely, I think now, hearing you, that is a loop or a hole that we could close with some sort of communication.
Yeah, I think look, I think the work, the presence of the ushers is key here, whereas they're not left, again, God forbid, if there was an attack, the people aren't left to their own accord just to figure themselves out of the building, or what is the procedures. And the ushers having people there to guide and direct, I think is a clear, and it's a great communication that you're having with the congregations on that. But as you said, like in terms of having maybe especially upcoming events, some general kind of procedural communication with the congregation could be something moving forward over the next couple months, or I know with the Christmas events coming up that you might want to test and trial, whether it's an email, whether it's a communication at Sunday service to say, if there are things that are happening, this is what the plan is, maybe a bit more openly, maybe could be an area of security in terms of best practice to look at. Does the American church have a website, social media, or is it just or these things something that you'd want to implement or develop, or is that in place?
I'm not sure I understand the question. Yes, we do have a website, and we do have social media.
Okay.
We have Instagram and
oh, great.
We have Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah.
And I think those are the only two that we have.
Okay, no, that's great. No, because again, those mediums through the website, Instagram, Facebook, where you could put again some security bulletins or some safety tips in preparation for events, that type of communication with the congregations or with people in your network, I think even that would go a long way in just I think ensuring things for the events that you have moving forward to be kind of a bit more secure in that aspect of things. But I think, look, the level of security and communication that you have in place with the police and with the ushers, I think is brilliant. And it can only be beneficial for the events that you have. So, and I think just one last question, if I can, Denise, just in regards to moving forward, what kind of areas of security or best practice would you like to implement at the church following the training of SOAR? Some of the discussions we had, what I know you mentioned, like maybe using maybe social media or the website to provide kind of short security advice or bulletins, maybe to congregations. Is there anything else that you'd want to or plan to potentially implement over the next few months?
So I think if we were to do provide a sort of security information or updates, we wouldn't do it over the website, but would rather do it internally. So it might be that we send out just a short communication to the congregation and perhaps a video where they can just watch it. I don't think that we would do it directly over the website. It's something that could still be explored. I'm not sure. There are a couple of things after the training that it's kind of where we realize that we don't have a lot of additional physical barriers, and we do, we're in an urban area, so we have the usual issues that come up, and particularly Friday, Saturday nights when there are more people about, and it could be beneficial to us. And this is something that we have already contacted a company to look at, putting more lighting outside of our entrances, particularly in the side entrance, which is a bit obscure because of bushes and things like that. So we've already contacted a company now to look at how we can get additional lighting there. One of the things that we'd like to do is also we've got a sort of this one area where our trash cans are, which is also a sort of a nook, and it is an excellent place for people to hide and do all manner of things. And so we would like to put. Actually, I was just writing an email about this morning. Put sort of a gated a fence there, but the fence should be open, so that like a chain link type thing, so that you can see inside, but can lock it to prevent people from going into that hidden area. And so that's one thing that I would like for us to do, and we'll be discussing. We haven't really had a lot of time to have a meeting about the measures that we can take since the training, because that gave us a lot of ideas, or at least gave me a lot of ideas of what we can discuss with our team for safety and security, and together just come up with a couple of things that we can do as low cost initiatives, things that we can start immediately. And then of course there's always more that can be done, but I think there were a few things that came out of the SOAR training. For example, even putting the covering on the windows, that just didn't, wasn't something that occurred to us. Fortunately, we don't have a lot of windows, but we do have a couple of panels where that might be really helpful. It just doesn't cost much, and just can be done quickly. So
yeah, no, I think that's amazing. And I think the key thing you mentioned is low cost, is that not every institution has millions of pounds for security and, state-of-the-art facilities. So I think
we definitely don't.
Yeah, exactly. And to be honest, 99.99% of institutions don't, but they don't need to. As seen with what you're referencing was the windows with the shatterproof material that you can put on it so it doesn't shatter on the other side. Something like that you can get quite cheap. And as you mentioned, just lighting. Something so small you think is insignificant, but as you mentioned very, very rightly, is that as soon as there's lights, again, people tend not to go to those areas where it's dark and, people think they can't be seen. they tend to kind of go to those areas to potentially commit some attacks or crimes. So I think it'll be great to see over the next month or two, even just those aspects of potentially better lighting around the institution. Would love to come and see that being implemented. And I think you mentioned a great point in regards to the communication with the congregation, that I think the website can be used for a lot of things, but I think that internal kind of security measures and guidance, whether it's like leaflets or point systems. I mean, we can happily send you some information that we've got and leaflets that we've got as well, that generic ones that you can use as videos. I think if that can be communicated with the congregations, and I think you've covered I think there's a plan in place from a physical best practice kind of implementation, but then also enhancing your communication as well. So I think that all sounds like a brilliant plan over the next few months to hopefully implement at the American Church.
Yes, thank you, and I appreciate the help and support that the SOAR training was. So I'm looking forward to it, and looking forward to seeing what we can do, and just really making our place a little safer and still being as inviting and as welcoming as people tell us we are. So
no, it's been great, and hopefully we can visit in the next time we're in Berlin for sure.
Yeah, definitely. We would love to have you.
Thank you, Denise.